Hello there, everyone. It is April 25th, 2015, and this is the first ever episode of Leaned and Its Thoughts. Hello, I am your host, Aline. This is mostly going to be an unscripted podcast with some occasional scripted elements if I decide to do an interview, but mostly this is just going to be me and my thoughts. Mostly about my day, mostly about my family, mostly about things that are just going on in the world. I will be honestly keeping things away from politics, as it can be a more contentious topic, and I don't want to bring that to my vibes. The big thing that I've noticed is that there's just so many podcasts that are just, oh, this side is wrong because they're evil, or this side is wrong because I said so. I'm not taking any sides here. I am mostly just some doofy plushy cat that just enjoys her time on the internet. And honestly, that's the best way I can put things. Now, while you may say, oh, but Aline, shouldn't you be putting your output somewhere? Shouldn't you be saying, hey, this is what I think about XYZ political figure or XYZ infamous internet celebrity? No. To be quite frankly honest, drama just drains the life out of conversation. So with that being said, here's a few things that I will say. This whole podcast will be hosted over on GitHub as well as most Spotify capable devices, as well as any places that you can put up a podcast. Sorry about that, a little bit of a fumble there. The GitHub repository will be primarily for episodes that I don't want to go missing, or episodes that I feel are really important to me personally, or just to store the video and audio files. There won't be a video, but I'm just saying. I know it may seem awkward at first to hear me just yap. That's fine, honestly. At the very most, I will say that I enjoy talking. I enjoy wanting to explain my side of stories as well as many, many other things. So I personally hope you enjoy this little bit of a podcast style deal that I'll do. I will probably make this a daily occurrence. If I don't, I'll probably make it every other day. Just so that we can have just a calm talk. Big thing is that I would love to hear everybody else's stories. So I might as well tell mine. Hi, I am in fact Aline. I used to be quite rambunctious in my later and earlier years. I am one of the few people that I say has grown quite significantly since I've last talked on the internet. And while I do occasionally do streams over on Twitch, I enjoy just chatting with my friends and chatting with people in general. Biggest thing to me is that you can be yourself around me. You can share your entire world and I'll be there to listen. I may not be the strongest cat alive. I may not be the strongest entity alive. I'm just some gal that just wants somebody to talk with. And even if you can't directly respond to me, just getting some stuff off my chest or getting some words out is kind of all I really need. The big thing that I personally struggle with is I have autism, as well as recently been diagnosed with ADHD. So I have had way too many struggles with my own thoughts and emotions, and mostly just paying attention to tasks. The biggest thing is that I do want to get better at those skills. So the medicine that I've been taking for my ADHD has pretty much helped a ton. Now, I understand that if you hear me say, oh, I'm autistic, you go, oh, wait, are they going to start preaching about this, that, and the next thing? No. Honestly, the few things that I will say is that, in my opinion, if you support Autism Speaks, please leave my podcast. I don't want you listening to me. Autism Speaks is a hate group, not a helpful group. Personally, in my opinion, they do a lot more harm than good, but that's just my opinion. Honestly, I tend to keep things mild, but this is just something that really pisses me the fuck off. Forgive my swearing, but that's what I do. Now, I try to keep my volume kind of mild, but there are things that I just get excited about. I love telling stories, and that's the biggest thing about me. I will try to keep most of my music to a dull roar, or at least not at all. The biggest thing is that I will say that there are things that I personally find really enjoyable about just listening or making music in my spare time that just appeals to me. It calls to me an action that I can actually do and be creative with. My big thing is that I enjoy having the creativity of so many different medias. For example, I write, I sing, I play games for people on Twitch, I write, I draw, I go out there and make myself known because I want my music and my talent to be seen. But the big problem is nowadays that if you want your talent to be seen, you gotta pray for a fucking miracle. And while I understand that, hey, I may not be able to make money off of my podcast, I might as well yap my head off about things that personally I feel are important to me. Family members, just life stories in general. There's no real important way of saying, hey, you should listen to your folks more often and actually listen to their stories, because otherwise I'd be hypocritical. But I actually do enjoy seeing my folks tell their stories, explain funny things that their youth has given them, and that story just really impacts upon me. The fact that I have to listen to all of the mistakes and learn from the lessons of my predecessors so that I can improve upon myself as well. I know that I am far from perfect. I try my best to... It's hard to explain. But I try my best to enjoy life as it is, even if the situation for me right now is rough, or I'm having a very bad emotional impact on myself. The biggest thing you can do is talk to someone. Even if it's not about the mental health issues that I just described, talking about someone is enough to give enough an edge to negate that severe crippling anxiety that I have. I enjoy talking with everybody. My friends are one of the few people that I hang out on a nearly daily basis that I just love to death. Granted, I do tend to be a bit more of a recluse than normal. Being self-silent online is kind of the one thing that I am known for. I tend to lurk instead of contribute. But when I do contribute, I try to make my contributes meaningful, or at least in a way that makes sense to the conversations that are already going on. In all of my retrospect, I will say that I have been a little bit more inclined to speak out during my time that I've gotten diagnosed and getting medication for it and making sure that my personal feelings are known. But I've also noticed that whenever I've taken my medicine, I've been a lot less ornery, I've been a lot less mood flashy. in general, it's been one of the few things that I am very proud to say that I have changed for the better, even if my family hasn't recognized that in a huge capacity. While I do say that my personal opinions of things are mild, I have opinions on games. Everybody has opinions on games. But the big thing is that I honestly respect everybody's opinion. You could disagree with me about everything, but in the end, I'm just here to provide somebody to listen to. Anyway, so that's the main introduction of the podcast over with. Might as well begin it properly with what I feel is the biggest thing that I will have to say, is that it is okay for somebody to not like the same game as you. Oh boy. Whenever I say that, people will assume that I have some spicy video game takes. Now, I'm not going to say that they're wrong. My take is pretty spicy. But the big thing is, I don't enjoy Metroidvania-style games. Typically, it's like, okay, why is there so much shit to do? Why is there so much platforming? Why do I have to worry about exploring this cave when I can just go, okay, I like my things a bit more straightforward. That's just my opinion. I have tried to give so many different roguelikes a chance. Not roguelikes. Again, this is completely unscripted. I've tried to do so many different Metroidvanias that it's kind of crazy. I played the original Metroid. I played Super Metroid on the SNES. I played so many different games that are all Metroidvanias. And the big thing is, I just couldn't get into any of them because I don't like feeling like I have no way of knowing where the fuck to go. I understand. That's the whole point of the fucking Metroidvania, is to not know where the fuck to go and explore the story. But here's the thing. Whenever a game that I play has a bad game feel to me, it ruins my opinion on it. Because apparently, I have a few controversial opinions on games. I do not enjoy playing Hollow Knight. I do not enjoy playing Pizza Tower. I enjoy things like Minecraft, or Terraria, or Epic Battle Fantasy 5, 4, 3. Hell, I am one of the few people that will play a Sonic game just because it's a Sonic game. And yes, I did do exactly that when I played Sonic Forces. But here's the thing. Even though I know that Sonic Forces is a bad game, it's not that bad of a game. I mean, I can enjoy it for what it is. It's a cringy compilation of Sonic and his friends getting sent to the Shadow Realm or some shit like that. But the big thing is that I enjoy it and have fun with it by creating a whole bunch of different storylines and enjoying the cheesy garbageness of it all. It's like watching a bad film, you know? When you watch a bad movie that you know is dog shit, that you know is gonna suck balls, you still have fun with it because you're getting to laugh at it instead of just, I don't know, crying that it's horrible. Going to a film that's known to be bad and then going for it anyway, expecting it to be bad and then being pleasantly surprised when it's good is something that I enjoy. Occasionally, my opinions on games can be wrong. I will admit, I am not perfect. I can say that I have dealt with games that I personally were surprised at how good they are. Or how bad. But mostly, I will say, I was pleasantly surprised when I first played Stardew Valley because of how engaging the gameplay is, even though it's a simulation game that I don't really enjoy the style of. It keeps me engaged by making sure that I can think of my actions, play it carefully, and if I just wanted to ignore the farming, I could just make it a fucking dungeon crawler. And that's what I enjoy about Stardew Valley, is that it has that aspect of you can play how you want it, but you can also play how it's intended to be. As a farming sim, or as a fishing sim, or it's so many different games at once that I enjoy that. Another game that I will mention that surprised me is Space Station 14. If you have never heard of Space Station 14, I'm going to say this right the fuck now. It is almost exactly like Among Us, but better. It's better, it's fun, it doesn't have that sense of impeding dread that always happens with these sorts of games. The biggest thing that I will say is that it's a very complex game, but that complexity is led into more of a here's what you need to do, here's what's going to happen, this is how you're going to go about doing things. You learn how to do the mechanics by playing the game. And some people will actually teach you. And the biggest part about this is that it is a roleplay heavy game instead of just, Town of Salem. I have beef with modern Town of Salem, by the way, but that's just off topic for right now. Space Station 14 has that style of social deduction that has allowed people to create entire communities of role players that just want to run a space station, with the occasional attack from space spiders or nuclear operatives that just want to blow everything up. That's what I enjoy about Space Station, is that it's very welcoming to everybody. It's engageful, it allows you to enjoy the game at its own pace. Now, I am going to say that I am one of the few people that play a lot of rhythm games. If that wasn't obvious, I enjoy rhythm games because I enjoy most rhythm games that are pretty much just DDR clones. But occasionally I do have the itch in my gaming urges to play something like Rhythm Heaven. And honestly, the best part about that is that there is a game that I in fact enjoy the hell out of as of late, that in fact actually has both a traditional rhythm game element to it, as well as that Rhythm Heaven style. And I just gotta shout it out here. Rift of the Necrodancer is an amazing game. Fight me, cowards. I also like it when a game series challenges the usual tropes. For example, Mascot Horror. I have a love-hate relationship with it. On one hand, it could be, Poppy playtime? Why? Why are you making Mascot Horror kid-friendly? No, that just doesn't fucking work. And then there's the games that I feel are masterpieces in the craft, even though they take two different directions. And one of them is not even made with a normal game engine and is in fact made on a Roblox experience. So I'm going to first explain what the fuck I mean by that. So, first of all, shoutouts to Indigo Park. Oh my god, this game is amazing. I highly recommend that if you have the spare time that you pick it up and play it, because honestly, it's one of the most creative things that I have ever seen. The writer, Rec D, is actually amazing. It has all sorts of creative different animations. It plays well. It has an enjoyable story, and that I personally really find that the topic on hand is that it's a labor of love. A huge, unabashed labor of love that I personally feel like more people should take the time to play. Rambly is an adorable little bastard that I want to hug and hold and tell him that it's gonna be alright. He's amazing and fantastic. His game does not rely on cheap jump scares to spook the player. It's unsettling, and there are the occasional scary moments, but the big thing is that it doesn't feel like it's out of your control to get scared. It's absolutely a tailored experience that's meant to be played for fun, and it spooks you, and it's enjoyable, and it doesn't just try to kill you over and over and over again just to prove a damn message. his entire game so far is just collecting things, making sure that everything is all right. You go through the park at night, and it makes it all that much more impactful when you finally meet the raccoon. That is just the basis of a really good game. And the team behind Indigo Park is one of the few teams that I am rooting for it because it's just so damn good. Now, then there are the games that are a bit more surprising. People are always surprised about my game tastes. I am what's known as a fucking mutant for game tastes. I could be playing the latest and greatest FPS shooter that's murder, 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 blood, gore, and guts everywhere, and then all of a sudden I'm just playing some cute cat game. It's kind of ironic, right? But see here. I could go from playing, I don't know, Indigo Park to something like, I don't know, fucking Persona 5. In that quick. It was that instant. But the biggest thing is that I also tend to try and do other games that I find interesting but aren't my usual cup of tea, so that I can experiment and see what I can do. The one that surprised me the most is Red Eclipse, which I have so much things to say about that game. It's so much fun. It is basically equivalent to it's equivalent to Unreal Tournament, but better. And the fact that it actively screwed over a crypto game scam guy. So I gotta give it props. It's hilarious. I love it. Then there's all sorts of different things. But the one thing that I want to get back to is the other horror game that I feel like needs a mention. And it's on Roblox, which is kind of, well known to have some good horror games. But this one takes it and makes it actually its own thing while being in Roblox. The huge part about that is it's not just spooks and scares. It's more along the lines of having fun with friends, and it plays more like a party game than an actual horror game. Dandy's World, a popular-ish game right about now, is one of those titles that I would say has a lot of potential. It lacks the usual Robloxisms of, hey, pay me money to get better stuff, or, hey, pay me money and I'll revive you. There's none of that. It doesn't demand the player for funds, it demands the player of time. And that time is done by, researching the Twisteds, by getting spotted by them, playing the game to earn the currency, iCore, and in general, just enjoying people in general, because otherwise you won't be able to get certain masteries done because they require other people to play with you. And even if you do go in solo, it has its own fun just going in and seeing how far you can get all on your own. Which is amazing, because it makes things a lot less, I don't know how to say it, but corrosive? The best part about Dandy's World, in my opinion, is that it takes the Dead by Daylight formula and it removes the PvP aspect. The removal of the PvP aspect from Dead by Daylight is going to be something that's going to be a bit weird, but once you get used to it, it seems a lot more fun. I have tried Dead by Daylight as both a killer and a survivor, and I've just had terrible experiences. Even one game that I was playing, I eventually just said, you know what? I'm just going to take you over to the fucking machine, drop you off, and then just stare at you while you do it. I will just let you go. But these fuckers, these absolute shitters, keep using the damn flashlight on me, and it's hilarious because I can't see shit. I'm just a goober. I know it's silly to bitch about people playing optimally in a game. As long as they're having fun, I don't care. But, honestly, that flashbang is just the stupidest shit. Anyway, back over to playing Dandy's World. Dandy's World takes that concept and goes, you know what? We're making this co-op. Everybody go to a machine. Somebody has the choice to chase them, and you just run around and go nuts. That's the biggest part about that, is that it encourages people to work together in a way that's optimal, while also providing enough build depth that you can set up a character exactly the way that you want to play them. The big issue is that some characters are better than others at certain things. Like, for example, you could have somebody chase around somebody, but the problem is, if you have lower stealth than that somebody, you may get chased as well, or instead. Basically, the higher your stealth is, the better you are at staying away from Twisteds. But the big thing is that if you are being chased, and you have somebody with a lower stealth than you, and you're wanting to be chased, then you're going to lose that Twisted on your ass, and they're probably going to get bit. And that's the most unfortunate part about all this, is that if they get bit, what's going to happen? You have to completely restart from the beginning, and if you die in that game, there is no, oh, pay this to revive, or, hey, your buddies can revive you. No. Instead, you are DEAD, dead. You are fucked. You cannot revive. And that's the biggest part about Dandy's World, is that it feels like a roguelike. Go as far as you can. Go as high as you can. But when it all comes crashing down, inevitably, you will feel rewarded in that, because you got that far. And right now there's currently an Easter event, and oh my god, I love bunnies. I love rabbits. They're just so adorable. So when they introduced Coco, I was like, hell the fuck yes, give me the rabbit. And I just straight up played Dandy's World until I got sick of it. But oh my god, I freaking hate one of the characters in that game. Roger is one of the worst tunes to play as, and I'm not even ashamed to say that. Man. After talking for so long, I gotta think about what I want to say next. So, I'm thinking that when I first do this sort of thing, I'm gonna just start yapping. I'll introduce the day, say my name, say the series name, and then continue on from there. The biggest thing that I will say is that I have fun with this sort of thing. It allows me to get stuff off my chest in a similar manner to just yapping to my friends on Discord. But the big thing is that it shows that I can care about something other than myself for once. And that's something that I struggle with. But I want to get better at it. Alright, we're coming up to the 30-minute mark. I think I will tell a story before I stop the recording. So, the biggest thing that I will say, that my favorite story from one of my folks is the story of Terrible T, which is a story that was from my grandfather. So, my grandfather was a drill sergeant in the military. Back when I wasn't even around, I was just a little speck in the big universe here. So my grandfather goes up to this guy named Thomas. Now, Thomas, he wasn't mentally safe, or mentally sane, rather. I do not want to make fun of him too badly, but he was definitely not all there. He approaches he and my grandfather have a bit of a, you're my superior, but I'm not taking you any serious sort of deal. So, my grandfather goes, what are you doing, Thomas? And Thomas goes, I'm painting my boots! And he has a can of bright blue spray paint. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I'm pretty sure that you're not supposed to paint combat boots blue. And my grandfather goes, hey, dude, you're not supposed to color your damn boots blue. What the fuck are you doing? So he takes away the paint can. Now, another few things about this guy, Thomas, is that one point in the future is that my grandfather saw him with a bottle of aspirin walking around, popping it like candy, going, I have a headache. Oh, you sweet summer child, what are you doing? Oh man, Thomas was a card, apparently, according to my grandfather. But the biggest thing is that there's another... I keep saying the biggest thing. Fuck me. Not everything can be big. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So, he goes on to another day. So, my grandfather is painting something and he needed a few paintbrushes. So he sends one of the worst possible people for the job, Thomas. So my grandfather goes, hey, Thomas, can you go and get me some paintbrushes from supplies? And sure enough, Thomas goes, sir, Sarge! And he walks off. A few hours go by. No response from Thomas over the radio. And no sight of him. So he goes, where the hell is he? So he calls up the supply building and goes, hey, have you seen Thomas? Yes, sir. He is right here. And then he passes my grandfather goes, hey, pass the phone to Thomas. I need to talk to him real quick. So he gets the phone passed to him and he goes, I found the paintbrushes, Sarge. And my grandfather goes, that's nice, but I needed them over here. And yeah, the dude was in need of mental health help. But at least he wasn't too aggressive. He was more like... I feel bad for the guy, but I also, like, he's kind of funny. I'm going to hell, but he's funny. Another thing that I will say is that there's also a more recent story that I will say is that one of my neighbors who lives nearby had a tragedy happen, and honestly, all of my family members, including myself, were willing to jump out of their chair to go and help that person out, because, let's be honest, she has dementia, and I don't want her getting in danger. So while her family arrives to help her out, me, my folks, and everybody here helped her out to make sure that she was okay. We fed her, we kept her safe, we kept her warm, we gave her food, we gave her shelter, as long as she needed to make sure that she was okay. We eventually also went over to her house to start cleaning up a few things that were important. The biggest thing that I noticed is that in her cupboard there was a lot of moldy bread. And I was like so sad. Because, man, I love bread. But, like, she had so much different things that were reminding her of her husband that passed. So I was like, I was supportive of her. That's all you really need to be. And honestly, that's my real goal, is to support somebody. Even if it's through just something small, like saying, hey, that's a good job, or hey, I appreciate that, or hey, here's what you can do. I want to make sure that it's known that no matter what, I am somebody that you can go to talk to. And that's the biggest part about my podcast, is that I'm trying to make sure that y'all know what I'm thinking of. Because if I don't say what I'm thinking of, how will anybody ever hear it? And with that being said, this is the end of the episode. If you enjoyed watching this, feel free to consider possibly subscribing to me over on Twitch, over at twitch.tv/MyraJuseline, MyraJuseline. ELEEN, or consider just joining me on Bluesky. You can find me over there. And with that being said, thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your evening.